Hey, it's Joe Lyons, and this morning I was talking to someone about being able to take a phone number and look up both the carrier to see if it's a cell phone or not, as well as possibly the location. The location's a little more on the iffy side, but I remember years ago reading about how the exchange, it's not the area code, but the exchange is assigned to a given carrier, meaning like AT&T or Sprint or somebody. And so I Googled it and found this article. Oh, not that article. Hold on. There we go. This article talking about basically what I'm explaining here is it's the 3-digit prefix, not the area code, but the prefix or slash exchange is what, years and years ago they used to be called. They're assigned to a given one, and they happen to mention this. It's funny because maybe it's an older article. They mentioned somewhere in here, Phone Finder, but I didn't see their website here. But anyway, I looked them up, and so it came here, and so manually, like let's say we took my number 682-209, 209, I think it's 8014. I don't know because I use my Google Voice number. So I can search like this, and now watch what happens to the URL here. It's important. So we're going to search, and here it came back. Look, here's the 682. We're going to borrow all this here. I'll bring it in. But notice it said, here's the area code, prefix, city, Arlington, state, Texas. So I'm not in Arlington, but I'm relatively close to that. This is DFW market area. It's fine. It's saying new singular wireless. And that, I think, because we're AT&T, but I think that's still nowadays one and the same. It does say it's a wireless provider. And I don't know. I actually didn't click this. I'm curious what this is. Oh, interesting. So that is for the city of Arlington, it looks like, which is, of course, not helpful in the slightest. But that's fine. So the thing is, let's go back. If you were just web scraping also, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to come in here and push a number here and push a number here and push a number here and then hit search and then wait for the page to load and go get it from the results. Well, what would be better is, first, let's break down that URL a little just so we can look at it, right? I think it's Alt-D. Is that? No. Alt-E? That could be, let me put it in the site. Studio doesn't like some of my hot string stuff. So paste, Alt-D. Yeah, that's my D code. And let's change this language to something where it'll make it pop a little. That's terrible. There we go. And so the way HTTP protocol works is here's like your destination URL. And then it says, hey, what's the first parameter? Which you can always tell by finding the question mark. What's the first key value pair? Sorry. So the first key value pair is this NPA equals 682. This is a parameter. These are parameters for this protocol. And so in this case, NPA, whatever that means, is 682, which was 682 is my area code. And then NXX 209, that's the exchange, so that one's a little easier, NXX. And then 1000 block, I guess that's what they're calling. I don't know. That was my last 4 digits. And then there's this other start, USA query type equals search by number and city name equals blah, right? Well, this thing I can guess is probably a constant, right? That doesn't change, but I actually tested it and it's not even needed. So my first thought was, hey, what if we just put in these first 2 parameters and leave everything else blank? So let's go back to the website. If we push this in here, and bam, we get the same results, right? And this way I can easily say, what if I changed this to, let's see, my wife's is 817. And I think 817-313, and then run it again. And sure enough, because we're on the same provider, it still pulled it back properly. Now, this is really cool, right? Because what this means is I don't have to go to that other page and load and this and that. If I want a simple way, this still isn't the way I would actually do this. But let me fire up my script AutoHotkey web scraping syntax writer. And so pointer, get pointer to IE window, which I don't have yet, so I'll open up IE. And then we're going to navigate, page navigation, navigate the page. And here, actually, let's do this a little smart. Well, we'll do the first one and then we'll break it out, right? Just to show baby step into it, just a little easier. So here's the full URL. Then of course we're gonna have to wait for it to load. Wait for page to load, and then we could look. Let's see. And it'll be easier with IE. So, you know what? Let me just go ahead and go back to Studio. I'm going to move this guy over to the left, and then select that one for the right. Now it's going to connect to this, so I'm going to save this, launch it, and now hit my hotkey to trigger it. And it pulls up that, wow, do you see how fast that was? That's crazy fast. That's awesome. So this is a very light web page. So the API approach, which I was going to say that's probably what I would do, I'm not so sure I do because it loaded so fast. So I'm going to bring up my AWB2 learner tool, and let's say I wanted to pull this out. So I'm looking here. There's no name. There's no ID. Let's look at something. So this, let's see, this, we'd want to know this. This is a good one to know, right? Is it a wireless provider? Again, no name, no ID. Anything here? No. Let's look at the parent structure. TR, use that. So we could, this is probably the first row, so we could isolate that if we wanted to. All except for this one are hyperlinks, so maybe let's go a little higher here. So the T body, let's use that. I'm looking in here for like either a name, ID. I should have been looking for a class as well, which are great. Let's use this one. So still no name, no ID. No name, no ID. Here we can see, oh, it looks like there's multiple tables, which complicates it. Is not a big deal, but it'd be really nice. Let's go back into one. Let's look here. So unfortunately, there's no class name around that. Let's take a look at this guy. That's a href tag, so that's good. We can get that, but we still need a way to isolate like this out of the table. So now that I'm right now, we're there. So I'm gonna get rid of these two, and then I'm gonna say, I don't know why it's not popping. Let me just use my syntax writer here. Get from page, get tag name. Yeah, because we're gonna use. First thing I'm gonna do is put in table. And get a count. Which is actually, sorry, length. Well, I want to get a count of how many there are, and we'll throw this in the message box. So save, reload, run. So there are 3 tables. I don't know which table that is, so we'll just start with the first one. Table, let's get the first row. So now that we're pointing to there, if we're gonna get the first table, it's 0 indexed usually. So we'll go 0, and then we'll say get, I lost all of my my assistant stuff. I'll have to add those back in. So get elements by tag name. And this is going to be TR, because that's the table row. That's going to go the whole way across. And we're going to say, let's get the first row, which is 0, because it's 0 indexed, and outer, no, let's do inner HTML. So it's going to show us what's in that row. So that, inner HTML, sorry, inner text. So yeah, so for whatever reason, this right here is in a table. Yeah, brilliant. Let's move it to the next one. Oh, sorry, my bad. So look at this. I tried to increment the rows, not the table. So the table is what we want to increment here. Now we're in the second row. There we go. So this has the information we want. So we're connected to the right table. And then we would just... Oh, actually, I'm sorry. That's the header. Well, that is the right table. However, notice we have all the headers, right? So this, we are gonna want the second row, which is 1, because there's 0 indexed. And now it's a bunch of junk, right? Because they're all merged together, which is fine, because we're gonna parse this. But that's the row. So now that we have the row, and let's say row, so now we have a pointer to that, but I want a pointer to that, right? So that way it's a row, it's a pointer to that row, and then we're gonna say for Well, can I do? Yeah, I have to get the count of how many. So I'm gonna loop over row dot, and I think it's been a while since I've done this. Is it TD? TD? I think it's TE. Row dot get elements by tag name. TD. Let's do this before we do the looping. I'm gonna comment that out, and we're gonna make sure that I'm on the right thing here. So message box, save, reload, run. So there are 7 columns, and that's what the TD is. I forget table data. No, I don't know. But so we're gonna loop over. We're gonna loop that 7 times. In those, just from looking at them, right, I would be highly surprised, like even if this showed up missing, that the whole column would be gone, right? Especially because the header's there. So that's probably gonna be pretty consistent. So so we're gonna loop. We're gonna use this first here to loop. Put in a %. So now it treats this as a variable. So that's gonna say, it's gonna really say loop 7, right? That's how we'll interpret it. I think I can put a bracket here. And then here, so we want to borrow from this, and let's put a message box here. This, and then brackets a index -1 because it's 0 based. That's still fine, and let's save it. We're gonna reload it and run it. So the first one's blank. Okay, I missed. Oh, I forgot. Duh. Right, that's looping over each one, but I forgot to tell it what to do. Inner text. So there's 817, 313, Arlington, Texas, new singular, right? So then all we would have to do is to just do the simplest thing is do some if statements to say if a index equals, I would start with the city, right? So 3, then define city, well, you know what, let's just do it. So that is there. So our if logic will become before this. So if a equals 3, city equals that. And now let's actually, it'll run through that. Let me just see what city is and make sure I didn't get it one off. So that got city right? In reality, I'd probably put this in a ternary, so it's 1 line instead of 2. So I'm going to borrow this. If a index equals 4, state is going to equal that. If a index equals 5, we'll call that telephone company, and another paste. If that equals 6, this is, what's that, carrier type? Well, telco type, whatever. So I like carrier type. Carrier type. All right. So let's do city. Oops. A tab. City. State. State, tel, comp, and carrier type. So let's, hopefully all these are populated. So we got city, state, telephone company, carrier type. Great. So that of course is getting 1, but then all you would do, all right, let's work on the front end. Now then you would do a file, I would do a file append, and I would actually put in the phone number, this area code and prefix. I wouldn't bother getting them from here because we already have them when we do the call, right? That was the destination that we did up here. And there's no reason to pull them again and save them because we had them up here. We would know what they are. And so let's go back into here. We're gonna make it dynamic where it actually is gonna load a different one, but we're gonna change this here. So so this is going to be area code, and this one, let's just move this on the other side, is going to be what was that, prefix. All right, now up here, manually for this first time, we're going to say area code equals 415. This is where I grew up in Marin County. And prefix is 892. 892. That was Novato, California when I lived there a lifetime ago. So I'm going to save this, reload it, and now just to help break out what's going to happen, right? When this it's going to connect to the page, then it's going to navigate, and it's going to, when it does, it's going to push this, the area code in here, so that'll be 415, and the prefix of 892 into here, and then it's going to do it all. It's going to wait for it to load. It's going to grab that stuff, and it's going to throw it up in the message box, which normally I'd put into the a file append or something. But save it, reload it, run it. So there, wow, Novato, California. It was now apparently Verizon associated that, and it's a telephone company, so it's not actually IND telephone. I should have some line breaks in here instead of the tabs, but so it's not a cell phone, and that's it. So basically, here's a quick, easy way. Now, if you kept pinging this server, 1,000 times, so here you could just build an object and put this whole thing in a loop, right? And loop over and go grab exactly what you want and dump them. You see how fast it's loading, right? We could probably do all of this with just a one HTTP request instead of using IE, but it's loading so fast. Honestly, I wouldn't, unless I was going to be doing it a lot and over, I wouldn't worry about it. The other concern though is some sites, if they see you pinging them too hard, too fast, they might end up either blocking your IP address, or you might even crash their server or whatnot. I don't know anything about this site, so I don't know how many they'll let you do, how many calls let you do per hour and whatnot. And even if it's not out there, there's other sources that you could go find. But I wanted just to demonstrate how quickly, I wish I was timing this. What was that? It looked like 17 minutes total, right? And that was talking through it. It could have been, even less time to have done this. And then of course you have to, the hard part to me is coming up with the area code prefix combinations of the phones out there, because what's awesome is so like this company I was talking to, they the initial service, also I know of an API that does this as well, but you pay for it. You can look up the phone number and they'll tell you if it's a landline or a phone line, regular cell phone, and but it's 4 cents per call, and you have to call on every phone number. But hey, if you can break it down to just the area code and prefix, that's I guess like one for every 10,000 or whatever, right? Because it's you just have the front end, not the last. Any of the 4 digits don't matter, and so you just have to loop over them. And they do voiceless mail drops where they drop voicemails into people's cell phones, and so they have lists of these area codes and prefixes already, right? And if they just drop out the last 4 digits, give me the first 6 digits, dedupe it because there's going to be an amazing amount of overlap. We could go through and create a database of basically, hey, here's the carrier, here's the type of phone these are, and the so back to the state and city and stuff. So obviously city, that's really depends how dense. One of it's how densely populated the area is, but the other one is like services. I don't know if it'll pull. Let me see if it'll pull my Google numbers. 267 and then 777. This should show up Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Looks like Pennsylvania. Metro piece. That's interesting because this is my Google voicemail. I would have thought that would have said Google or something close to it, but it doesn't even tell you the telephone type. That's interesting because it's not a real phone number, right? But that is my number. I've never lived nor been anywhere near Pennsylvania as far as getting a cell phone. I've been in Pennsylvania, but again, nowadays, like my business partner, he has his phone he used to live in Oklahoma, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And he took his phone number with him when he moved down here to Texas. And so it still shows Oklahoma, right, for his. So I don't trust the location that much anymore. Now, granted, a lot of people are still in the old system, right? But for, I think, looking up the carrier, it's a great way to, one, find out if it's a wireless or landline, and two, is to see who the carrier is. And for in particular for in our business, why we really care is it's going to allow us, one is if you had a bunch of numbers, you could actually tell if it's a cell phone or a landline. And if you only have, if you're going to be texting people, you don't want to text them to their landlines, right? And B is if you see performance differences, like you're doing this voicemail drop or big sends to, I say spam, but campaigns for sending out voice broadcast stuff, it'll be great to see if a given carrier or a given location is behaving differently, right? And if you don't have that in your own data set, it'll allow you to be able to take those variables under account and control for them to say, oh, you know what? People in Nevada, California, or Pennsylvania, they really love our stuff or they hate our stuff, right? And you want to decide if you want to target them more or less or whatnot. So anyway, I hope that helps and have an awesome day. Cheers.